The lights are on for Hollywood in Brazil, but will he be the star? Yes, he will today on Locked On Chiefs.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome in, Chiefs Kingdom. Thanks for making us your first listen here on the Locked On Podcast Network. That means your team every day, and we are the Chiefs team today. Your team is on its way, or just about to be, on its way down to Brazil to kick off their season. We're going to give you all the meaningful insights that you need prior to that with Matt and Derrick joining us from ChiefsDigest.com. Thank you for making us your first listen. Thanks for being an everydayer. You guys make the world go around, and we do it for you. You can find us everywhere and do it all the time. Thank you to our folks over at Mazda, because they're trying to help you do everything that you want with more dedication, with more attention to detail. That's more in a Mazda vehicle. Stay tuned for an episode highlights what we're calling moving the game forward. That's coming up a little bit later. I want to move the game forward about what are the turning points. That's going to be our highlight today. That's coming up later in the show. Before we get there, we got to talk about what the challenges that the Chiefs are facing, particularly with one pseudo injury right now, and I'm going to call it pseudo. But we start where we should always start with this team. On the offensive side of the ball, no Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown in the meeting room, at the podium, on the field, like all Hollywood all the time. Not ready to say he's going to take over, but he's going to take over, right? I mean, let's be honest. It's not Travis Kelce, Chris, Matt. It's got to be Hollywood, right? He hasn't played in almost 2 years in the regular season. So, Matt, he's got to be the focus of this offense this week, doesn't he?
I would probably say I think Xavier Worthy is going to be the guy that you probably need to lead on to have the big game. But Hollywood's important. There's absolutely no doubt about this, because we're talking about the fact that this Chiefs offense is based on critical mass. It's based on throwing out enough weapons, and too many weapons out there for the defense to be able to account for. We've saw the last couple of years that if injuries deplete this group or suspensions deplete this group, and now it comes down to, instead of maybe having your 3 or 4 best out there, you only got 1 or 2 of your best out there. It becomes a lot easier for defenses to be able to defend this offense. It's all about stretching the limits of the field and stretching the limits of the defense. And, and that's one of the reasons why the Chiefs are talking about, taking off the back end of the field and taking the top off of it, is that you think about it just even in simplest terms. If you can put 2 guys on the outside, whether it's Hollywood, it's Xavier, it's Tyquan Thornton, take your pick, your poison, put 2 guys on the outside that can run a long way downfield, and they got a corner and a safety chasing them, all of a sudden the middle of the field is open. And that's what the Chiefs are talking about when they're talking about being able to throw the deep ball to open up everything else. Usually it's the other way around. This team's going to try and do it differently. And so, yeah, Hollywood's going to be important. And, Hollywood, talked to him yesterday in the locker room. He was on the podium today, saying all the right things about feeling good, being healthy. He's excited about this. Obviously, he missed the beginning of the season last year. So this is his first, opportunity to go out there in week 1 with the Chiefs and prove what he's got. Last year, in those 5 games that he came back for at the end of the regular season and the postseason, he wasn't Hollywood Brown. I mean, he was kind of a fraction of himself just because his body was still not right. So now he's healthy. He's ready. You could see him testing that ankle a little bit during the portion of practice that we were out there, this week. You could see him kind of bouncing on it a little bit. That's to be, I think, expected. So let's see what happens when he gets out there and really gets to test that ankle and make sure he feels good. Because if he does, then yeah, he's going to be a critical piece of this offense.
I had to laugh when Ryan was starting this show, because I know it just pains him to say that the offense is what we really need to be talking about. But regardless, you look at this offense, you look at the wide receivers. Matt, you said exactly what I've been talking about for the past couple of days on the show. Is you have 3 wide receivers that are 4.3-ish or better. You have guys that can absolutely take the top off the defense. And that doesn't even include a guy like Brashard Smith, who is going to be challenging the interior of the defense, if you will, getting guys from, the linebacker level, probably covering him coming out of the backfield. So that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And then you add in a guy like Travis Kelce, and I know we're trying to talk about wide receivers, but it's all pass catchers. You add in Travis Kelce, who's going to take advantage of the defense having to back up and the safeties having to back up. And then you also talk about a guy in Juju Smith-Schuster who I think will also take advantage of that. And then you add in the other tight ends that they have with Noah Gray and Robert Tonyan. This is going to be a fun offense, and I do think that there are going to be a lot of bright lights going on in Brazil Friday night.
Yeah, this offense, it needs to be exciting. I mean, that's the bottom line. And, I mean, I'm not trying to put a lot of pressure on this offense, and not that they're listening to me, but I mean, I kind of feel like if this offense doesn't go out there and put up 30 points in a game like this or close to it, I might have some questions. I mean, I'm not saying it's 30 or bust, and if they get 29 points, it's a complete and total failure. But this offense is built to kind of go up and down the field. It's built to pick up yards and chunks. And even without Rashee Rice, they should still be able to do that, because the one thing that we talked about that they want to do, they want to stretch the field. And obviously, in order to do that, they've got to give Mahomes time. He can't just be stretching the field if he's got 2.5 seconds to throw. You need more time than that. So his offensive line's got to work. That left side of the offensive line has got to work. Your receivers have got to work. And if you do that, then I mean, the goal is to try and open up middle of the field and take advantage of that. And you mentioned, I mean, if the Chiefs can do that in so many different ways, if they're doing that in a way that then forces teams to go light boxes, then obviously there's room for a rejuvenated Isaiah Pacheco to run up the middle, especially if this in theory road grader of an offensive line can open up some space. In theory, this should be a better run blocking line than maybe they've had in a while. The one thing that the Chiefs feel like that this offensive line can do, and that it is more than it's been in the past, is athleticism. That might be the only advantage where you would say that Kingsley Suamataia has something on Joe Thuney. I mean, Joe Thuney was a great left guard, athletic, not the first thing you think of when you think of Joe Thuney, but it is probably the first thing you think of when you think of Kingsley. So, that's the one ace up the hole up the sleeve that Kingsley's got. So if you're able to take advantage of that, again, and that's where maybe the screen game takes a part of it. Being able to do some things outside. Rashard Smith can be an outside zone runner and maybe get back to some of the things that the pet stuff that the Chiefs really used to excel at. So there's a lot of things that they can incorporate this offense because of the speed that they've got in places and the athleticism that they've got on the offensive line. And if that doesn't work, if it's not clicking and there's something wrong in week one, then it's going to lead to some questions going forward.
As it should. That's the way the offense is meant to work. It is razzle dazzle. It is spotlights on guys like Hollywood to take the smoke and mirrors to the next level. So as you run deep, you can play the rest of your game. I facetiously think Hollywood could play a little bit bigger role than maybe a lot of people are thinking because of all the back and forth and the lights. There's a lot to it, but that's only part of the equation. The defense has a challenge, and it starts at left tackle. That's next. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Mazda. This is Mazda's Moving the Game Forward, brought to you by those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. Because these movements that we do more than win, they push what's possible. They remind us to go the extra yard, shift into that next higher gear, and keep moving the game forward. The Chiefs have to do that as they look to get this season off to a start. Last year, you didn't have Rashee Rice. Well, guess what? You're not going to have Rashee Rice for the first 6 weeks this season either. It's about who takes that opportunity to step into the light, to step onto the field, make that shift, and take that gear forward. We're all looking for that. That's what keeps fans and players alike moving forward and always chasing that next great moment. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to every Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. It was brought to you by SupplyHouse. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with SupplyHouse. Order today and you'll get the parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, electrical items, and the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. If you need parts for that last-minute project, if you're trying to make a delivery date, or you're trying to be a game changer on game day, Make sure that you have the parts that you need by going with them. Join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use the promo code SHCOLLEGE 5 for 5% off of your order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people and real service. Turning to week one is a chance to make a statement, as we discussed in the first on the offensive side, by putting points up. Keeping points from the board is something you got to focus on the defensive side. One guy was not able to practice in full today. It is Omar Norman-Lott, the rookie defensive tackle. With Derrick Nnadi's return, it puts a lot of pressure on Derrick, a guy who's played good snaps for this team, has fallen off a bit as of late. I think age is a factor there. But without the rookie available, Matt, this team in the Chargers, even though it's going to be in South America and they're a long way from home, you get back to basics. They want to run the ball. How concerned should we be with Omar not being 100%, Nnadi being likely the starting defensive tackle next to Chris Jones yet again? What does that prognosis bring to you?
Yeah, I mean, and then you add in just what the Chiefs' defensive front four looked like against the run in the preseason, especially the Seattle game. I mean, it all raises some questions because, I mean, yes, Derrick Nnadi knows what's going on, so you're bringing back some institutional knowledge. And as Brett Veach will tell you, yes, Derrick Nnadi is younger than Mike Pennell, but who's backing up Derrick Nnadi? I don't know because, you know, in theory, the Chiefs have three techs on this team on the defensive front, and Chris Jones, Jerry Tillery, and Omar Norman-Lott, and one nose tackle type, and Derrick Nnadi. And Derrick Nnadi's not a type that's you're going to have out in the field for 60 snaps a game. So who's backing him up? I mean, you might see, we were seeing some Mike Dana during training camp of rotating inside, and you might see some other edges rotate inside, maybe Malik Herring. Based on what we saw during practice this week and who's going to be active on game day, I'm assuming it's going to be all the defensive linemen. I think everybody's going to be active that's on the 53. But that also means that they may not be activating anybody from the practice squad. So not a Marlon Tuipulotu or a Broderick Martin, who are also, you know, backup nose types. So it might just be Derrick Nnadi and company lining up next to Chris Jones on the inside. And that could be a little scary, because I'm not sure that that's, you know, going to be the starring point of the Chiefs defense, but it is going to be an attack point for the Chargers, you know. So that's where I would get concerned, is that if the Chargers come into this game with Najee Harris and Omarion Hampton and are dedicated to the run and they stick to it, that could be a problem for the Chiefs. So, I mean, I think if you're the Chiefs, you're really hoping that Jim Harbaugh and Herbert get just pass happy and decide to start throwing the football, because I think that's where the Chiefs are going to be stronger right now at this time of the season. And I thought it was really interesting, you know, when Steve Spagnuolo talked about his defense on Monday and mentioning that it can be the first quarter of the season before you really figure out who you are. And I think he's fully expecting that. He's expecting that the first 4 weeks of this season are going to be some experimentation, because once again, you know, Christian Fulton hasn't really played with the ones that much. He played a lot of in the third preseason game just to get the rust knocked off. But he hasn't played a lot with the group. He hasn't played a lot opposite Jalen Watson and with Trent McDuffie, and how that rotation is going to work out. Remember, the Chiefs are going to be the first game without Justin Reed. So they're going with Brian Cook and Shamari Connor as their starting safeties. Is that their best rotation? You know, how does Jaden Hicks fit into all of this? There's a lot of moving parts. I mean, about the only thing that the Chiefs really know for sure, I think, is their starting linebackers and Chris Jones, George Karlaftis, and Mike Dana. That's about the 5 pieces of their defense. And I guess, and I'm not even going to pull Trent McDuffie in there, because I don't even think they know yet what they want Trent McDuffie to do. Is he going to be primarily inside and the rest of the time on the outside? Is it going to be half and half? Is it just going to be occasionally kicking inside? I don't even know if they've figured that out yet. So there's a lot for this defense, and that's why I'm not sure exactly what to expect from the Chiefs defensively in the first game, much less maybe the first month of the season.
You make a great point. And the one thing that I will say from watching all these Chiefs games over the last couple of years, it seems like they start slower during the season, but they also start slower in the first quarter. Generally speaking, their defense is allowing at least yards and a field goal, if not a touchdown, the first drive of the game. And then they adjust to what the offensive team is doing. But the thing that really sticks out to me, and we talked about this in the first segment, talking about the wide receivers in this offense, I think that's actually a huge key for how well the defense can play. Because if Kansas City can go out and put up and get up 2 scores by halftime, that changes the dynamic of what the Chargers can do, and it should help you protect your defensive tackles a little bit because they're not going to be able to run the ball as much. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing if you are the Chiefs offensively, you would love to be able to do is exactly that. It's to give your defense a lead so they can play from ahead. And in that situation, it plays into the Chiefs' favor. I mean, unless the Chargers really get disciplined and they have some success against the run, and they're even willing to do that down a score or two, just simply because that they feel like, hey, that's their best advantage and their best ability to gash the Chiefs a little bit. I mean, if this ends up being a game the Chiefs give up 200 yards on the run, that's going to be a problem. But if, and obviously the linebacker level is going to be key to that too. I mean, I think you're going to have to expect that the Chargers are going to have some holes. They're going to have some ability for their runners to get to the next level. You just can't let them get to the third level. So that's where I think it's going to be really critical with Nick Bolton, Leo Chenal, Drew Tranquill. Those 3 guys are going to have good games.
I think we're likely to see base on first down, maybe more than we're used to. I certainly hope so. But when you get to those 3rd and long situations, the left tackle is a position in flux. Joe Alt is back there for the Chargers. Played there in college. Pretty comfortable. But one of his more susceptible attributes in college was foot quickness in that left tackle spot, something he hasn't had to deal with at the right tackle. So my big question is, how do you take advantage of that? I think George Karlaftis is going to have the matchup with Pipkins that you got to feel pretty good about. And we're going to break all this down on Friday for you in our preview show, folks. So make sure you join us then. But Matt, when you're talking Charles Omenihu, maybe Mike Dana, where does Ashton Gelati play it? I think that they have to look to overload all in particular on the left side of the offensive line for the Chargers, and they have to do something to get to Herbert. He can hurt you still, but if you flush him, I think it's your best chance to get something on the positive side, maybe turn into some turnovers, PBUs at the very least, help that defensive backfield. How do you see them attacking it?
Yeah, I'm going to be really interested to see, what the Chiefs do on some 3rd downs in particular, because I mean, it's not going to surprise me, one, if the Chiefs just put 4 edge rushers out there on 3rd down with Dana and Omenihu on the inside, usually probably leave Jones and Karlaftis on the outside. And then the question's going to, I mean, it's Chris Jones. I mean, Chris is going to be looking at that offensive line and saying, I'll take Pipkins. So I mean, I think that's going to end up leaving Karlaftis and Gelati with maybe the tougher matchups. But at the same time, that might be the advantage, because you mentioned, Ryan, quickness being the way that maybe you attack Joe Alt. Karlaftis and Gelati have got quickness. That's their forte. I mean, that's what they're going to be trying to go with. So maybe that is the better matchup. But once again, you talk about the run game and the Chargers having that. Even on every down, you've got to be setting the edge efficiently. And that's where, I think really Karlaftis and Dana on the early downs in particular, you've got to be able to do that. You've got to be able to defend both the run and the pass, because you can't just be strictly going after Herbert and watch the run game go by you. They can absolutely do that. And this is a well-coached team. And, so you've got to expect that they're going to be disciplined. And if the Chargers can play a disciplined game, they can give the Chiefs defense a run for its money. But I think, yes, I mean, we know that the Steve Spagnuolo defense is going to be in attack mode. And you mentioned, playing the base. That's not something that the Chiefs do a lot. But if the Chiefs are in base and they're going to go with the 4-3 more often than they usually do, especially on early downs, what I like about that is I like Leo Chenal lining up maybe out wide and going after Herbert sometimes. And that's something I want to see. And I want to see if the Chiefs do more of this season.
I think that's a great plan. It all starts there. The full plan on Friday. Don't miss it. There's always points in the game that make the whole thing flip. What are they in this one? We named one on this side. The left tackle on the other side is the next. Coming up next. This episode is presented by Yahoo Fantasy. The NFL season is right around the corner. You can feel the buzz, especially after the preseason games are wrapped. Fantasy football season is here. Everyone's researching, drafting, building, rebuilding their championship squads. And if you haven't joined a league yet, now's the time. It's all happening on Yahoo Fantasy. This year, I'm playing fantasy football on Yahoo Fantasy, and you should too, whether you're a first-timer or a veteran creating your millionth league like me. Yahoo Fantasy is loaded with fun ways to compete and brand new features to make the game even better. This season, on September 4th, the kickoff. Now's the time to start playing Yahoo Fantasy Football, which offers you so many fun ways to compete. If you want more ways to play, you can try it right now. The brand new Fantasy Guillotine League mode, where the lowest scoring team gets eliminated each week from the league, and there's only one left standing at the end of the season. If you want to play instantly with friends, you can try the new Draft with Friends mode. It's a group think. Prefer the classics. You can get back to the normal crew, head-to-head, private league, no problem. If you don't have a crew, you can just join a public league. Get in there and mix it up with anybody available. The NFL season kicks off on September 4th, so don't wait. Start your league now. Draft now at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. That's yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. The NFL season is on us, and FanDuel is making sure that you're getting ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if that bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it's all in one place, and the app is super simple to get after. Whether I want to do something ahead of time, put together a parlay, or whatever I'm looking for, jumping in live is even an option. It makes life one-stop shopping to get into the action. So if you're ready, and you are ready to play, get in there, download the FanDuel app right now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. And that's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet to get that 300 bonus bets. Check it out at FanDuel.com. Folks, make sure you check out ChiefsDigest.com. You can find Chris at KC Chiefs Corner. Find my work at NFL 33 and RGR Football. Matt, this is always fun. We generally talk turning points after a ball game, but given that there's so much run up to this one, and it's a divisional game in another country, they're going to spend all day traveling just to do one walkthrough, just to get ready for this game. So they are pretty much there at this point. One point that I need to watch, probably more than any other, is exactly how the performance is for Josh Simmons. They played well, he and Kingsley Suamataia, to this point. Obviously, I feel on the upswing, but this is Khalil Mack, a crafty veteran who knows all the tricks and has enough speed to power to actually challenge him should he be able to make contact with Simmons' chest plate. That's really the challenge for me. That's where this offense hinges right now, on keeping the pass rush off of Josh Simmons and therefore off of Mahomes. How do you see it?
Yeah, and I don't even worry as much about the one-on-one matchups. Honestly, if the Chargers challenge the Chiefs' offensive line more one-on-one, I think that plays into the Chiefs' favor. What I would be doing if I'm them is just throwing a bunch of twists and stunts at the Chiefs, because what you want to do is you want to make Kingsley and Josh Simmons work as a team, because that's where they're going to have their weakest points. Obviously, communication is still developing, chemistry is still developing. They're both, for all intents and purposes, consider them rookies at both of these spots, because Kingsley's brand new at the guard position too. So, even though Simmons has played the tackle spot, he didn't have a lot of playing time last year. He's coming back from the injury. He's still green at that spot, just with a lot of upside. But the one weak point that the Chiefs know that they're going to have with those two guys, it's going to be working together in combo blocks, working together in communication, and identifying that stuff pre-snap and knowing what to do. Because that's one thing that, Matt Nagy told us that during training camp, was that these guys, when they know what they're supposed to do, it's fine. It's when they have to do something off script or they have to adjust. And that's why, if you're the Chargers, I would try to be throwing as complicated looks as I can at this Chiefs offense, because I think they're going to have some trouble, managing that and identifying that and knowing how to handle it off, the early part of the season. So if you're the Chargers, take advantage of that, because you're probably not going to be able to do that the second time around. But this one, yeah, if you're moving guys around and you're pulling a lot of stunts, and those kind of things, and forcing, Kingsley and Simmons to work together and figuring out what they're each supposed to do and their responsibilities, I think early on can force this Chiefs offensive line to make some mistakes.
Biggest key on that whole thing is that they're not going to have tape to look at the Chargers defense, so they have no idea what's coming. And you're right, they're not going to get this chance a second time, because the next time they play them, they will have tape. They'll have an idea of what their tendencies are. It's a huge battle that's going to be coming, and I'm not necessarily as worried about Josh Simmons as I am about Kingsley Suamataia. I think that Simmons showed that he can play well. Suamataia, I think, played well in the third preseason game, but I still want to see more there. So I'm excited about seeing this offensive line have a full game where they have to go and they have to protect Mahomes. But I think, you look at this and you look at how this game is going to play out, and we talked about this in the last segment. It's the question of the running game for the Chargers. If the Chargers are able to run the ball and keep the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands, that plays into what exactly what their coach wants to do. And if Najee Harris is able to play, that is a little bit of a turning point for the Chargers, because Omari and Hampton has looked good, but Najee Harris and Omari and Hampton is a problem, because then you have two guys you have to worry about being able to run the ball effectively in the backfield. What do you see when you look at the running game in that regard, Matt?
Yeah, and I think you're right. I mean, that's one of the things. I mean, the Chiefs, they struggled with stopping the run so much in the preseason, and again, so much of that starts at the point of contact. I mean, the scary thing is that right now, I mean, if you're the Chiefs, your best interior run defender is Chris Jones, and that's just, bless Chris's heart, that's a little frightening. So
Ryan's terrified.
I saw Ryan was just absolutely speechless, and I wasn't sure if he was just thinking I was on an island or he was that worried. But there are some Chiefs interior defenders for whom run defense is just purely optional. But Chris has at least has a tendency to run into the running back periodically and can make some stops in the backfield. So you got that going for you. But that's going to be a challenge. I mean, that's why I think that Steve Spagnuolo is going to have to get creative a little bit in his run defense. You've got to have to be careful with the outside as well. I'm less worried about that, because the Chiefs, once again, they've got tough physical corners. So that's the great thing, is that you've got some guys who can play and help you out and pitch in on run defense to the outside. Your safeties, I think, are the same way. But again, like we talked about earlier, I feel like a big part of this game is going to come down to your linebacker core and whether or not that they can make the stops so that you don't have guys getting to the third level. Because I just think that you're going to see the Chargers breaking off some 5-yard runs. You just can't let those become 15-yard runs.
That's going to be the key. And they have enough personnel to come in waves. Let's hope that they don't have to do that. If there's one wild card, Matt, that is popping up on your radar right now, doesn't have to be crazy. Just if there's one thing that if they're not able to get something done or the Chargers go out in left field, what is it that you're concerned about?
I mean, I think that the one X factor that worries Steve Spagnuolo the most, and I get it, it's Ladd McConkey. He can go off. There's no doubt about it. I'll be really interested to see how the Chiefs do address that. Will this be a game where they have Trent McDuffie follow him most of the time, trying to match up against him? That is their best option. Obviously, they brought in Christian Fulton for games like this, and Christian Fulton might have some inside knowledge on Ladd McConkey that he can either share or put to use. So maybe there's an option as well. But I thought it was, he might have been a little melodramatic on Monday, talking about how you have to have all 22 eyes on the field on Ladd McConkey at all times. But at the same time, that is a guy that can beat you. But I would be worried if I'm the Chiefs about having too much attention on Ladd McConkey, because I don't think that this is a one-dimensional Chargers offense. I think they got a lot of guys that can beat you. And I wouldn't be worried about McConkey to the point where you're not worried about Najee Harris, Omari and Hampton, Herbert, and any number of other people on this team that can.
You look at this game and you look at how it's going to play out. Chargers have a little bit of an advantage because the travel is a little bit different for them. They don't have the bus rides to the practice field and whatnot. But you brought up something in the first segment that I wonder if you think it's a turning point a little bit with how this Chiefs team has traveled in the past with some of their long distance games, how they've studied and how they've gotten ready, because it sounds like from everything I heard this week they have a very good schedule or an idea of what they're going to be doing to try to keep people loose. And specifically, we're talking about Hollywood Brown keeping his ankle loose. He's going to be sitting on a plane for 11 hours. That's not going to be a good situation for somebody like that.
Yeah, it's not going to be a good situation for anybody who is a big offensive lineman. And I'll be honest, I mean, I'm less worried about that because Chargers have a long flight too, although I understand that I guess by the globe being a globe, I think it's the flight's shorter for the Chargers than it is for the Chiefs, like maybe an hour and a half. But it's the bus ride that's the bigger, nastier part to me because I mean, I've been on nice buses and transportation buses that get you around. I mean, I get sore after like 30 minutes. So I can't imagine being on one of these bad boys for 2.5 hours. If 2 hours sounds about the normal. I mean, the Chiefs are going to be lucky if it's like 90 minutes from their hotel to the stadium. I mean, this is going to be Friday Night Lights for some of these guys going back to high school and taking the bus from wherever, Texas to, I don't know, Stephenville, Texas, just because I learned that Stephenville existed today. So maybe you're driving from Abilene to Stephenville. I don't know. It's going to take some of them back, I'm sure, to their old days. And so I don't think the transportation is just completely out of it. But I will say that the attitude that I got from talking to a lot of the players this week about all the logistics and all the challenges and everything is that they're like, hey, if we're going to be going to all this trouble to fly down there and then get on the bus, it's like, we better freaking win this game. So they're going down there with that attitude that if they've got to go through all of this, well, they're going to make somebody pay for it.
I certainly hope they do. Maybe all of them should pay for it. That's what we're looking for. We're going to break it all down for you tomorrow and have our preview for fight. And then you can go to Chiefs Digest and check out all of Matt's work, like I said, as well as 41 is the mic and Chiefs Digest here on the YouTube platform. Thanks for being with us today, Matt, and giving us our preview.
Always a pleasure, my friends. Take care, guys.
Have a great day, you guys. We appreciate you. Make sure that you like and sub, and you're with us for the duration as this season gets ready to kick off, our 9th on this show, and your maybe first. Make sure you're an everydayer and be subscribed. Thanks for being with us, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.